This is How Do You Fix a Depression? Keynesian Economics versus Classical Economics. The anticipatory set, it's a little gruesome. In a freak accident, your poor friend has had a big piece of metal go straight through into his leg. It's really in there bad. Obviously, you're going to take your friend to the hospital as soon as possible. But should you tell your friend to keep the piece of metal in until he gets to the hospital and just leave it alone? Or should you try to take it out and try to put pressure on the wound with with whatever you have, maybe a t-shirt? Should you try to fix the problem or just leave it alone? So let's make the connection. The economy was wounded in the Great Depression. People in charge of trying to fix it totally disagreed on what to do. Like people who think that you have to take the piece of metal out and actually try to fix the problem, some people argue that the government needed to take action to help. In contrast, like people who argue you have to leave the piece of metal alone until you get to the hospital, some people argued trying to fix the problem would only make things worse. Hear the arguments and decide for yourself. What should the government do? Should the government be involved in trying to fix the problem by spending more money? Or should the government try to get out of the problem and spend less money? Hear the arguments and decide for yourself. So, classical economists, they're the people who say that the government should be spending less money. Just leave the piece of metal alone. Don't touch it. You're only going to make things worse. And Keynesian economists say the exact opposite. The government needs to try to fix the problem now. The government should be spending more money. Hear the arguments between these two sides, and afterwards tell me which side is better and why. So, classical economics, the first argument. The first argument classical economists say during a depression is that the government needs to spend less money to avoid debt, which is owing money in the future, spending more money than it currently has. If the government borrows money while the people it serves have no money, you just are digging a deeper hole. Now, not only do the poor have nothing, they also have to pay back what the government is borrowing plus interest later in the form of higher taxes. Think about it. If you found out you were losing your job, would you go and spend a bunch of money? Now is the time to conserve money and spend less, not more. But in contrast, Keynesian economists say exactly the opposite. The government needs to spend more money because you need to help people in need right now. People are literally starving to death from being unable to afford food. During an economic crisis, the government needs to borrow money and give it to those poor people so they literally don't die. The government can pay back what it owes by collecting taxes later when things are better and regular people have jobs again. So, should we be conserving this vital resource of money, like classical economists say? There's not enough money flowing in the system. People are losing their jobs, so now's the time to pare back our spending. Or, on the opposite, people are really in need. Now's the time to break open the emergency fund and use the emergency fund because now is an emergency. Who's right on this issue? Is it classical economists or Keynesian economists? All right, let's go to the second argument. Classical economists say that the government should spend less money because you want to avoid inflation. If the government puts too much money into society by spending too much, you have more dollars chasing products. This will cause prices to rise. If prices rise while people are broke, people will be able to buy even less goods than they have now. So think about it. If the price of tuna fish is $1 today, and the government goes and spends a bunch of money into the economy, and the price of tuna goes from $1 to $2, poor people are going to be able to buy half as much tuna. That's terrible. According to classical economists, we want prices to fall, not rise, so that people can afford to buy more. You want prices to fall, so you want the government to spend less money, there's less money in the economy, prices fall, and regular people can afford to buy more. You want prices to go down. Keynesian economists say exactly the opposite, and they say you want to avoid what's called deflation. Deflation is when money becomes more and more valuable over time because prices are falling, exactly what classical economists want. And while this sounds good, it usually is a disaster. Think about it. If your money will be worth more tomorrow, it will buy more goods than it will today because prices are going to fall. What would you do? You're incentivized to hold out and not spend your money. So just think about it. There's a car that you want to buy, you've saved up for 10 years, and it's $20,000 today. and in a month it will be $19,000, and in 2 months it'll be $18,000, in 3 months $17,000, you're not going to buy that car for 3, 4, 5, 6 months. This means that those car manufacturers will go broke because no one is buying anything, which makes the depression worse and worse. More and more people are going to be laid off. More and more people are going to become unemployed. In contrast, we need prices to rise so that businesses can sell things for enough money to be able to hire workers again. So exactly the opposite. The reason why businesses are failing because they can't sell their products for any money. If prices rise because government injects more money into the economy by spending more money, prices will go up. Businesses will be able to charge more for their goods, and they'll be able to hire more workers and get us out of the depression. So which is right? Is it classical economists? We want prices to drop? Or is it Keynesian economists and we want prices to rise? Which one's better? And the last argument between the two is in classical economists say that government should spend less money because rich people buying things will save us. As prices fall, as the government spends less, rich people are incentivized to buy more things. As they buy more things, businesses will be created to meet the demand. Think about it. If the price of goods and services really fall and a rich person just has $1,000,000 in his vault, he can afford to buy much, much more. He's going to take the money out of his vault and spend it. Businesses that were shuttered will be able to meet that demand and produce goods for rich people. Those businesses will hire more people and fix the whole problem. The rich are the best at creating these efficient new businesses. They have a track record of success. All right, so rich people are really good at knowing how to efficiently buy assets and which assets are worthwhile and which ones are junk. They have a track record of success. That's why they're rich. You want prices to fall so that rich people can buy things. And the only way to get rich people to buy things is when the government spends less and prices go down. Keynesian economists say exactly the opposite. They don't say that rich people buying things will save us. They say that regular people buying things will save us. Waiting for prices to fall while doing nothing means the rich can just wait around for a long time before they ever spend their money. There's no urgency for them while regular people are suffering. Yes, rich people will ultimately buy a ton of goods and services as prices fall, but they can wait till the absolute bottom to do that. That could be months or years, while regular people are starving to death. In contrast, if the government gives regular people money by spending more money and just giving regular people money, they'll have to go spend it, or they're more likely to go spend it, because they need things right now. A rich person could go 6 months before they buy a second car, but a poor person needs his next meal right now in the depression. He's starving to death. Businesses will obviously pop up to meet this new demand of thousands of regular people trying to buy new goods. Those businesses will be efficient because they will produce goods that regular people need, not luxury items like the ones rich people buy. So who will fix society? Is it rich people buying things because they're so smart and they're good at spending their money? Or is it regular people buying things because they have to spend the money and because there's a lot more of them? You tell me. Who's right? Keynesian economists or classical economists?